Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page. I just wanted to give an updated forecast for seismic activity. Today is the 13th, I believe. Yes, May 13th to 2020. And I have briefly looked at my phone app today, but I have not really looked at it, so I just wanted to, we're gonna just do it in real time. As I see it, I find this easier for me. I think that it's easier to see it the first time while I'm talking to you guys. That way my original first impression thoughts are caught on the audio for you guys, if that is making sense. I don't know what I'm saying today. So okay, so first thought is, wow, Oklahoma has a lot of activity, but Oklahoma, like I've said in my other videos, has a lot of activity because they do a drilling operation. I don't know if you would call it a drilling operation, or what they do is they put like sewage water down into the ground, and then when it makes methane gas that rises to the top, spins turbines and creates energy. And the USGS, which is kind of like the leading organization for seismology, has said themselves that this does create earthquakes. And so a lot of the times when you see an earthquake in Oklahoma, it is caused by that. So it is unusual for them to have four in a 24-hour period, of course, and they're even kind of separated, but I don't really think that's anything. I think that is probably just what always happens, unless there is increased energy coming into the weak parts of Oklahoma. That would make sense too. Okay, so that is my first thought about that. Whenever I see something here, and I think this is Texas, or where is it? Yeah, it's Texas, and it's a pretty big one for just a random earthquake at 3.6. That's not very big, but it's not, it's moderate to just see a lonesome earthquake in the middle US region. So whenever I see something like that, of that magnitude in Texas, I assume the energy is pulling from Alaska, up here in Alaska. I assume that over the last 36 hours, it may not be visible on here anymore. There's probably been a moderate to large earthquake, and it might have even come down into the Washington or Idaho area before coming into the Texas area. This is kind of the pattern that I've noticed. So let's see what is going on in Alaska, if there is. So there's been 3.8. That's a decent size. It's not too big, but it's definitely not a 2.0, which is what is usual, and a 3.3. So that is enough already, just by seeing that there's a couple small to moderate earthquakes. It is enough for me to, another 3.3 right there. It is enough for me to assume the energy is transferring this way and coming from this direction. Here's a bigger earthquake, 5.2, and this is using a method that I did not create. This is called the Dutch Sense method, and it follows plate boundaries along the ring of fire, up and over, and then my technique and theory kind of comes into play from there. I personally believe, and so does the Dutch Sense method, that it does come from Alaska down into the USA, into this area following the North American Craton. However, my theory is a little bit different. I don't follow the boundary of the North American Craton, which is about in this area exactly. I have a little different technique. I believe the energy comes from kind of like California up into Utah, through Montana, up into the northern states, and then down into Idaho. So a little bit different. And I got that model from tracking earthquakes that have happened over a 30-year period. They all seem to happen on that line. And the USGS has their own theory that the earthquakes follow kind of like a line coming from Alaska too. So progress is being made. We're not, Dutch Synths and other forecasters like myself are not the only ones that are seeing patterns. Finally, it's kind of becoming known that patterns can it's just a door opening for the scientific world, because as of right now, forecasters aren't really accredited or believed sometimes, except by the people who follow forecasting and see that we are predicting earthquakes. So I'm just looking at some of these Japan and Russia area. Is this Russia, or where is it? The Kuril Islands, separate from Russia. Sometimes it's connected, so I guess that's the Kuril Islands. And then Japan area has a few big ones, which definitely suggests that that energy is pushing upwards into Alaska. You can almost see a line. It's following the plate boundary up into Alaska. And when there's enough energy up in Alaska, it will come down, and that's what you're seeing here. That it is coming down. It's not every day that you see earthquakes in this area, and we have a few. We have one in Utah as well. Not a very big one. Idaho has several. These are aftershocks for a bigger earthquake they had last month, the 6.5. That is totally normal. Some days they have less activity, some days more. We don't always see earthquakes in this area. They are common, but when you do see one, you know it's usually when energy is being pushed from Alaska. California looks active and healthy. It's activity in this area is completely normal. It's an everyday occurrence, and it's evenly spaced, and it looks really nice. You get to wonder, and you get some anxiety sometimes when you don't see action in this area for a long time. We don't see anything up here, and there is usually activity up here, so I do assume activity will fill in that area within the next few days. There's nothing that makes me suspect that it'll be anything that isn't normal. It'll probably just be like a 2 to 3 magnitude earthquake just filling in this area. Sometimes when it's quiet out there, you might get a little bigger one out here, like maybe a 3.2 in this area, so I wouldn't doubt if 2 or 3 pop up here. Let's move on. So this one, let's see. That is the 5.2. Not too big, but Japan region, they've had a lot of activity lately. Completely normal. 3.7. I don't see... Oh, okay. Here's some bigger ones right here. A 5.0, not very big. 6.6. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's in the Santa Cruz Island area. So, I don't know. That was yesterday at 4, and this is 6 hours ago. I would not doubt if there was another one that was above a 5.0 in this area in the next few days. This is the Nendo, Santa Cruz Islands area, and kind of surrounding it at this bend. Let's just say at this bend. Maybe another one might pop up there, because according to the Dutch Sins method, you take one earthquake and you take another and you find a middle point in between, and that's usually where another one would hit. And he figures this because of magma waves that kind of hit each other and will create another earthquake. If you want to figure out more what that means and research it, you can go visit his channel on YouTube at Dutch Sins. But before you leave my video, subscribe and like. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna pause this for a minute. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. There's someone at the door. My dogs were going crazy. So sorry about that. Let's see. So we do have another one in, I think China? No. Is that China? And I'm kind of expecting one to come into this area. I have been for a while. I'm gonna close that watch in about probably 5 days if it doesn't happen. There's been a 5.0 in Madagascar. So we have activity over here, and we have some in Madagascar. How deep was Madagascar? 15 kilometers, not very deep. What about these other ones? How deep were they? $62 and 127. That's more. So usually with the Dutch Sins method, you would connect the two and kind of find a middle meeting ground and say that there might be activity. I think a middle meeting ground that is kind of a hotspot right now might be Malaysia, but I wouldn't depend on it. However, if is the mailman here? I think the mailman's here. I've been waiting for a package. Sorry. Totally ADHD. This area in general has had a lot of activity lately. And if a bigger one hit in this area, that would be just kind of common right now. That's just kind of like the pattern that's been happening is big ones hitting in this general area here. So not big ones necessarily, but like on the high end of moderate, about 5.3 or up. So middle ground might be in this area, but I wouldn't count on it because Madagascar, first of all, doesn't have any plates. The plate boundary around it is not very close. So it's not going to travel in the same way, I would assume. And also there's so many branches to how the plate is moving that this would probably, my guess is the energy of this one would probably be more in the surrounding area. It would disperse into the surrounding area, maybe up into some of these weaker areas up here. I don't cover this area of the world really. I try to focus on the Ring of Fire in North America mainly, sometimes South America, so I don't really pay attention to that area, but I would assume it could just travel to that area. I have been talking about a moderate one coming into the western part of South America, and it looks like there's definitely energy coming in, but I will probably end this watch as well within the next probably like 4 days. A middle point between the one in Japan and the one down here in, where was it again, the Solomon Islands. Following plate boundaries would probably be the South China Sea area, this Luzon area, but let's not specify the location too much. Let's be a little bit broader and just say the Philippine area. I still feel like there's going to be something inland in China in this area. I still think that, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens too. I also have said that Russia is due for some activity, especially with all the energy traveling up through the plate boundary and over down from Alaska. I would not be surprised if anything hit inland. I predicted, or I forecasted this about a week ago, and after I forecasted Russia, I new activity in this area picked up, which is not a common area for activity, but we've had a lot of moderate to high ones in this area in the last week after I forecasted Russia. But I did mean that Russia would get something inland, but I do think that these in the Kuril Island area are a result of me sensing the energy that I knew was coming up towards that way. I think we've gone over these earthquakes. I mean, Montana hasn't had anything for a while. I wouldn't doubt if it received a 2.0 this week. 2.5. There is enough energy in this Oklahoma area that I would guess that maybe we will see another small one out in this area this week. But I think that pretty much covers everything that I'm thinking in real time. If I keep going from here, I'm just going to make guesses that I'm not really feeling and not really sure about, and that's not good to do. So I do, however, think that the New Zealand area has been very active and they could see another bigger one as well. I wouldn't say necessarily that we're watching it, but that wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so to summarize, our watch for today at least might be I don't feel like there is a imminent threat in the USA, really. Famous last words. I think everything is pretty normal. Yesterday I was kind of not concerned, I would say, but I was thinking that there's enough energy to give a moderate one, but a moderate earthquake, but I don't think that I don't feel like anything is happening there, except for there is a lot of activity in Alaska. So I think it's going to take a day or two to come down here, though, and everything changes so quickly. So tomorrow might be a different forecast. Today I think is going to be pretty much okay. And I will try to do a forecast tomorrow as well. And I can't tell you why I think that this is going to take a couple days. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's going to take like just a couple hours, and then you can see it does. It does. But I just feel like it's going to take a couple days. Japan has been on the list. We have been waiting for a high earthquake that is bigger than, I think, what is a 6.6? That's a pretty good size earthquake, though. Okay, so maybe that's, we were waiting for, Dutch Sense and I were waiting for a bigger earthquake to happen in like this area. And this is a 6.6, so that might have taken care of the energy we thought was going to come through. So if there is a bigger one in this area, and when it surprised me, I really don't have any area that says, hey, watch for sure. A lot of maybes, but everything seems to be pretty normal. So that concludes my forecast update for today. go ahead and like my Facebook page if you have not already. You can find it on Facebook at Earthquake Forecasting with Mckell, MCKEHL. And please like and subscribe to follow other videos of mine, and I'm trying to do daily updates. So I hope everybody is doing well, and I'll talk to you in the next video.